ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We are reading from the book Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yatiswarananda. We are currently in chapter 30, Reality of Spiritual Experience, and we are starting the section titled Touchstones of Religion. In the beginning of our spiritual practice, we do not get any spiritual experience because that is only the quote unquote scavenging period when loads and loads of dirt and impurities have to be removed. Evil thoughts arise even if the mind has already been made strong to a certain extent. But then they no longer harm us and can easily be conquered. If a boat has a good and experienced helmsman, it can face the storm without the fear of being lost. Unless this phenomenal world has been effaced completely from our mind, desires and passions, attraction and aversion can never be annihilated in their subtlest form. In Sanskrit text, this is often referred to as raga and dvesha. Until then, the passions may still arise in the mind, but if we have strengthened our moral fiber through spiritual culture, we will be able to withstand them and drive them away. Strengthening of the moral fiber itself is a sign of spiritual progress. Until we feel the coming of grace, we must strive. Self-effort is indispensable in spiritual life. We can never attain to real life self-surrender unless we have really striven to our utmost. A vision of the right kind can be had only when we possess a very strong, healthy, chaste, pure body that is really able to stand all the reactions consequent upon such a vision, and when we possess a wholly purified and dispassionate mind and true spiritual insight. It makes us feel we are neither the body nor the mind, nor men or women, but spiritual entities distinct from all these. True vision, even with form, always contains the spiritual element and reflects the glory of Brahman, the ultimate reality. And remember, it is always better to be a dualist with realization than be a monist without realization. True vision with form is a step leading to higher and higher stages of spirituality, but theoretical monism without any realization leaves you nowhere. The absolute of the non-dualist is very far off, and what we are concerned with is qualified non-dualism at best, the doctrine which holds that we are all parts of an infinite whole. If all the senses are stilled and are perfectly controlled, and if the mind too is in that state, then alone true vision becomes possible, not otherwise. There is a very marked difference between the hallucination of an overheated brain and the gaining of a true vision. One test is that we attain more purity and greater dispassion, holiness and concentration as a result of a true spiritual experience. Our spirit of surrender increases and the soul gets attuned to the divine. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the breeze of God's grace is always blowing. All that you have to do is to unfurl your sails. This is from the sayings of Sri Ramakrishna, published in 1975, page 205. When the devotee has caught a glimpse of the transcendental, he no longer bothers about the right breeze, whether it is a hot breeze or a cold breeze or no breeze at all. He knows that the current of divine power is carrying him forward in the right direction. Two other tests of vision are bliss and certitude. True spiritual experience produces an ineffable peace, joy, and a sense of fulfillment. Something in us then knows it is true, for it carries with it its own unmistakable light and conviction. Those who have led an absolutely pure, chaste, and disciplined life cannot be easily misled by false visions. True spiritual experience is its own proof. However, many overzealous spiritual aspirants are misled by false lights in the beginning. How are they to decide that they are proceeding along the right path? According to Vedanta, there are three touchstones of spirituality. These are scripture, shruti, experience, anubhava, and reason, yukti. Again, scripture, shruti, experience, anubhava, and reason, yukti. The idea is brought out in a famous passage in the Brihad Upanishad. The Atman is to be heard about, meditated upon, sought after, and finally realized. Atma va are drishtavyah shrotavyo mantavyo nididhyasitavyo maitrehi. Again, Atma va are drishtavyash shrotavyo mantravyo nididhyasitavyo maitreyi. This is from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, mantras 2.4.5 and 4.5.6. The first great help is the guidance we get from the scriptures or an element teacher. It is not enough to read the scriptures as a form of duty. One should think deeply about the meaning they contain and try to get a firm conviction about the possibility of realizing the truth. There is truth in the assertion that the very moment the right teacher instructs a really qualified pupil, the latter realizes the truth in a flash. But the aspirant must first become really qualified through strict ethical culture. The most important point to note in spiritual life is that one should have a direct experience of truth. The so-called blind faith cannot be the criterion of religious life. Subscribing to some dogma is not religion, as it is understood in the West. Religion is realization. Religious truth should be verified in one's life, not once, but again and again. A little glimpse of the truth is not the end, though it is better than nothing at all. Moreover, our spiritual experiences should tally with the scriptures. Finally, both scripture and experience should be subjected to reasoning. This not only clarifies the ideas we get from scriptures, but also enlarges our knowledge of ourselves. The best kind of reasoning is self-analysis. Reasoning can also be undertaken to determine what is everlasting and what is fleeting in this world. But dry intellectualism without scriptural or intuitive basis may finally lead to skepticism and ruin a man's spiritual future. A man wise in his own conceit is bound to end in a personal tragedy. Thus, scriptures, that is Shruti, experience, Anubhava, and reason, Yukti, form the threefold test of spiritual life, and this test is to be applied at all stages by all aspirants. The real earnest and alert aspirant finds lessons in every object around him. Every moment of his life is a moment of choice between the true and the false. Every spiritual aspirant must be wide awake and keep the fire of discrimination always bright in his heart. No event, no thought should escape his notice. To such a person, the whole universe is a great book of knowledge. Dream and reality. What are dreams? A little boy told his mother about a dream he had had, and she asked him, "Johnny, what are dreams?" The boy replied, "Movie pictures you see when you are asleep." Dreams are of several types. Some are meaningless, some are reflections of our desires, while some have higher spiritual value. Some dreams refer to the past, even to our past lives. If we study some of our dreams, we find some of the people we meet or some of the events that happen in them do not belong to our present life. Some dreams refer to the future. One day in 1940, when I was in Sweden, I woke up with a consciousness that I should send away 2,000 francs from that country. This I did. A few days later, a law was passed as a wartime emergency measure that only a small amount could be removed from that country. Abraham Lincoln had a vivid dream of his own death by assassination and told others about it. Some of the dreams reveal our hidden desires and complexes. Many dreams are symbolic. They are to be interpreted. Freud and Jung, two of the greatest of modern psychologists, attached great importance to dreams as giving clues to the patient's mental condition. However, their interpretations were not always true. Freud especially was obsessed with the idea that all dreams were expressions of repressed sexual desire. That is not at all true, but it is profitable to study one's own dream and gain some insight into the workings of one's own mind. If we examine our dreams, we find a new side of our personality. We are not as good as we had thought ourselves to be. Some dreams reveal awful sides of our personality, but that is no cause to get frightened. Truth about yourself should make you stronger and more determined to overcome your defects. Many dreams come from a deeper layer of consciousness. It is said that Robert Louis Stevenson had dreamt about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde before he wrote that famous story. The great 19th century German chemist Kekulé discovered the structure of benzene in a dream. One night, when he was dozing near the fireplace, he saw several structural formulae wriggling before his eyes. Suddenly he noticed that some of them were connected in a close ring like two snakes trying to swallow each other's tail. He woke up and spent the rest of the night working out the ring structure of benzene and the theory of resonance. Some dreams speak of the soul's deep spiritual aspirations. One night in a dream I wrote to my teacher, Swami Brahmananda, I'm trying to see the divine in all. In the dream, he wrote back, try to see the whole in every part. Try to see the infinite in every finite thing. For days, this was the theme of my meditation. Then there are spiritual dreams in which great spiritual truths are revealed. One may receive a mantra in a dream or may get an ecstatic vision. A dream mantra often tallies with the mantra with which one is initiated by the Guru. We find several such instances in the lives of the Holy Mother and the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. The vision of a divine form in a dream can be very encouraging to an aspirant struggling hard in his spiritual life. However, though the joy of the experience may remain for a long time, unless it serves as an inducement to proper meditation and moral purification in the waking state, the aspirant gains nothing. An experience, unless it is a conscious one, has very little spiritual value. One should pay more attention to that light by which the dreamer sees dreams. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a remarkable discussion about this inner light. Once, the great sage Yajnavalkya went to the court of King Janaka. The king put to him a series of questions about the light by which man works and sees things. Yajnavalkya gave suitable answers. First, he said, the sun acted as light for man. When the sun had set, the moon. When the moon had also set, the fire. And when fire was put out, the sound. These successively acted as lights for man. Finally, the king asked, after the moon and the sun and the moon have both set, fire has gone out, and sound is hushed. Yajnavalkya, what serves as light for a man? The sage replied, the self indeed as his light. This is from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, mantras 4.3.2 to mantra 4.3.6. The other lights are external ones and can help a man only in his waking state. But during the dream and deep sleep states, it is the light of the self by which man knows and enjoys himself. It is not illumined by anything, but it illumines everything else. In the state of spiritual illumination, this light shines alone, all by itself. Modern man looks upon sleep only as a period of rest. In the West, deep sleep never became the subject of philosophical inquiry or introspection. But in the Upanishads, we find very profound thinking on the nature of the deep sleep state. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, as a hawk or an eagle, after flying about in the sky, is exhausted and stretching its wings glides towards its nest, so does the self hasten to a state where, falling asleep, It seeks no desire and sees no dream. This is from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, mantra 4.3.19. The same Upanishad further states that in the state of deep sleep, a father ceases to be a father, a mother ceases to be a mother, a murderer ceases to be a murderer, a recluse ceases to be a recluse. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, mantra 4.3.22. In that state, one does not see, hear, taste, talk, or listen because for all these activities, a second object is necessary. But in deep sleep, an individual soul becomes one with the infinite supreme spirit and experiences pure bliss. There is then one undivided consciousness, like a vast expanse of water. This is from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, mantra 4.3.32. This condition is the nearest approximation to the state of liberation, but there is a vast difference between the two. The individual soul no doubt enjoys unalloyed happiness during deep sleep, but nevertheless it is in bondage and ignorance. When it comes out of sleep, it becomes the old self again and experiences all the old sorrows and limitations. We must get the experience of deep sleep consciously. A Sunday school teacher in San Francisco was telling her class of small children that all men are children of God. One little boy asked, "How about the bad men in Alcatraz prison? Are they also children of God?" The teacher was puzzled and kept quiet for a short while. Then an intelligent little girl said, "Yes, they too are children of God. Only those guys don't know it. In deep sleep, we become one with God, but we have no idea of it when we wake up. Forgetting our true divine nature, we behave in every stupid way possible. This world is like a prison house. We are here because we have forgotten our true nature. Something of that state of deep sleep must be brought into our meditation consciously. Spiritual experience produces in us perfect relaxation, peace, and happiness of deep sleep, plus supreme knowledge and purity and fulfillment." Once Swami Premananda, one of the greatest of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, was meditating in the shrine at the Belur monastery. Soon he got absorbed in samadhi. A novice tried to arouse him without success. After a long time, when the Swami came back to normal consciousness, the inexperienced young man asked him, "Sir, were you asleep?" The great Swami in reply sang a Bengali song, "I have put my sleep to sleep." So the footnote, see Swami Gambhirananda, The Apostles of Sri Ramakrishna, published in 1972, pages 139 to 140. He had gone beyond waking dream and deep sleep into the superconscious state. Swami Turiyananda spoke about how he had conquered sleep. He wanted to quote-unquote observe sleep. Having hushed all his thoughts, when he was about to fall asleep, he kept awake by his willpower. Practicing thus, he found that sleep had dwindled, and there was only a very thin partition separating him from Brahman. So the footnote, see Swami Ritajananda, the book is Swami Turiyananda, published in 1973, page 4. He had reached the threshold of super consciousness. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.